to have a suitable marital spouse should not let's say a medical doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, you go to the universities, you spend years, you spend hours reading, you go through the rigor of learning just to earn a certificate, which sometimes you may not even need for the rest of your life. But you see, marriage is even much more important. If one gets married wrong, it can affect you in every aspect of life. But the beautiful thing is that if you get it right, it's indeed a true beauty to behold. The last time we were looking at some of the pressure that leads to wrong marriage. That's why this thing is a series. We have to look at some of these issues gradually, and we look at various pressures that leads to wrong marriage. If you allow those pressure to have impact on you, it may push you to take decision you should not take, or to make that decision at the wrong time. We talked about parental pressure, peer pressure, and a whole lot of other pressure. Today, we are equally going to look at another issue that very easily and quietly lead people into wrong marriage. Now, we are looking at this in order for us to be able to know how to choose right. If you do not know the factors that led people in the past to choose wrong, you may not be able to know how to choose right. So part of how to choose right is learning how not to choose wrong. Now, another critical thing that usually lead people into wrong marriage is that thing that we call feeling. We are creation of feelings. We have different feelings. If those feelings are not well understood, if they are not well interpreted, it can breed relationship, and relationship can lead to marriage. In fact, probably in most marriages, feeling is involved at a point, either at the onset, in the middle, or somewhere along the line. The issue of feeling is very critical. In fact, one basic reason why people choose and say, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, is that they have a feeling. And that feeling, it feels so real, so reassuring, so nice, that they are convinced they can give their entire life into that feeling. So today we are just going to look at what is feeling, what are the different aspects of feeling, how does feeling mislead people into wrong marriages, and then we will round up with that. So the problem now with feeling is this: every feeling is often interpreted as love. People have a feeling. They do not understand what exactly that feeling is. So they interpret it as love. And on the basis of that, they make marital commitment. You hear statements like, but I have feelings for him. I have very strong feelings for her. Let's take time to look at some of these feelings, and hopefully we can have a better understanding of how to deal with them and how to relate with them. So, feelings that are usually misinterpreted as love, that's what I'll be discussing today. Feelings that are usually misinterpreted as love. The first one I'll be looking at is the feeling of lust. I'm sure we probably use the word lust one way or the other in our conversation. A man can lust, and when I say a man, I'm using it as a generic word to mean male and female. A man can lust after different things. A man can lust after power. A man can lust after money. He can lust after fame. But I'm focusing in this discussion on sexual lust. That is the very intense sexual desire for the opposite sex that is often confused as love. You can have strong desire, strong sexual, lustful desire for the opposite sex, and you just think that, oh, this is love. So you see people engage in relationship on the basis of this feeling. And one characteristic of such relationship is endless sex. It just goes on and goes on, but you see eventually it never lasts. It never lasts. And particularly, it has a short duration for the male than the female. Lust usually lasts longer with the female than with the male. So the male can easily get tired after a while, whereas the female can still sustain her own for a while. So it now creates a situation where it looks like he no longer loves me, but I still love him. Yet the relationship is simply based on sex. The feeling of lust is a very powerful and intense feeling that should never be underestimated. On account of feeling, you can actually make marital commitment. You can feel so strong that no, you want to be with this person. It's almost like a possessive feeling that you really, really want to be with this person. It has its own lifespan or duration. See, every feeling has a duration. And once they are done, then it clears off. And that person returns to basically his normal self. So this lustful feeling can lead one into wrong marriage because it's going to blind you to other important issues that you should be considering in the life of that person. A woman in the UK was telling me about his 20-year-old son and said that a young lady, maybe of 19 or so, had moved in with him. And when this woman told me, I said, don't worry. I can assure you it's not going to last. It's not going to last up to a year that they will get tired of each other. In fact, they are likely to fight. She said, all right. But as time goes on, the 19-year-old girl became pregnant. It became more complicated. But shortly after she got pregnant, they started having quarrel. He drove her out of the house. They became very terrible enemies. It became difficult to understand that these two people who felt in love so much that they moved in to live with each other just some few days ago, now they have become arch enemies. They don't want to see each other. That continued until the lady had the baby. And there was the battle of whose name would be on the birth certificate. The lady said her own father's name, that she doesn't want the man's father's name. It became a legal issue. Unfortunately, the baby had some congenital problem, and eventually the baby died. But my point is that as soon as I was told, I knew it wouldn't last. You see, the truth, when people don't understand this feeling and they're analyzing relationship, they will give all kind of reason. Oh, she's dirty, she's not good. She too, she will say, oh, he's a bully, he's not caring. They will give all of those reasons. But the reality is that they were just in lust, but they thought that they were in love. And on account of that, they felt that they could live together. Do you know that instead of moving in together, some would have even gone to the marriage registry and tied the knot on account of that feeling, because it's such a powerful feeling. So that's the first feeling you must be watchful for, that feeling of lust. Then there is another feeling that we call passion. Now, please bear with me. Some of these feelings, as I'm discussing them, may not agree with the conventional dictionary definitions. I'm explaining them from experience usage. That means how they have related to feelings over time. Now, passion, because you can use the word passion, for example, also with different issues, just like lust. You can lust after different things. But I'm restricting the usage to relationship context. Now, passion is a healthy sexual desire between couples. That's why couples have sex in marriage regularly. It's also a feeling. What couple have going in marriage, it's also a feeling, but it's a healthy feeling. Now, that's slightly different from lust. Okay, so couples can be passionate about one another, and even after they have satisfied that desire, they are still there for each other. The problem with lust is that over time it wears out. You can't sustain lust. It will eventually wear out, and once it wears out, it usually develops into hatred. That's the strange thing about lust. Not in all cases, but in some cases, they will hate each other so much. In fact, you can feel so bad that you won't understand, why was I with this kind of person in the first place? That's lust can push you into the hand of the wrong person. But passion is a normal sexual feeling between a husband and a wife. Now, there's also the feeling of pity. There's a feeling of pity. People's situation can move someone to feel like they want to marry this person. I've seen people out of pity, they want to marry. You see, pity is a very strong feeling. Somebody can be going through a very difficult situation and you are just there for that person, and after a while, you just feel that maybe you are in love, or maybe you love the person. No, what is going on is that you have pity for that person. Sometimes you are walking on the road, particularly in this part of the world, and you see people begging for alms or people in terrible conditions. You are moved. Something moves in your heart, either to give them something or to at least look upon them with pity, as we usually say. It is a feeling of pity. You must never marry somebody on account of pity. I know a particular lady who was sick and needed surgery, an expensive surgery. And she had a male friend who was there, and that offset the bill. The guy paid for everything. Now, after she was treated and she became okay, she just felt like, the guy approached her and she felt like, what else would she do? Let me just marry this person, and then they went into a marriage relationship. It's probably one of the most terrible marriage story I've ever had all of my life. It's so terrible that the man will tell the lady that he is going to spend the weekend with another lady, and that if the wife doesn't like that, she should just move out of the house anytime she's tired. It's such a terrible relationship. They just marry each other out of pity. That's why we must never go into a relationship on account of pity. It's a misleading. No matter how you feel about the person, we'll soon see why we should go into a relationship, but it must not be based on pity. Then there's another feeling that is called compassion. Compassion is closely related to feeling, but different. It's a God-given feeling in us to help other people. It is more compelling. You see, you can see somebody and pity that person, and you won't do anything about it. You just move on, but you feel sense of pity. But when it comes to compassion, it is compelling. It really moves you out of your way, right? That's why people who do counseling, like pastors or people into all form of psychotherapy, you can unconsciously begin to have this feeling for the person because you are hearing stories that greatly moves your heart. So you may develop compassion for that person, and there's nothing wrong with compassion. But when you now begin to base marital decision on compassion, that is where problems set in. But it's a good feeling because it really compels us to help other people, not up to be sympathetic, but to be empathic with people's situation. So it's another feeling that you can easily misinterpret and say, I think I really love this person. I think I really love this person. It's compassion. It's a dangerous feeling that usually mislead people who are into ministry because they develop compassion for the people that they are counseling or in close proximity with. And after a while, it could lead to something else. There's also the feeling of excitement, which you can interpret as love. Usually, things that are very new excite us. I had that iPhone 15? iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro has just been released. Okay. See, when you buy that new iPhone, if you get it, it could be so exciting. There is a feeling of excitement because it is new. But you see, after a while, it becomes nothing to you. It just becomes a phone in your hand. The previous phone was once that exciting, but now there's nothing exciting about it. Now, so this is how this relates with human relationship. We meet different people, and sometimes we could meet somebody that is exciting, or because the person is new in our life, it can be so exciting. In fact, this is one of the feelings that leads to extramarital affairs. You just meet somebody, you really don't know the person, but the person is so new and has an aura of things. And you know, something that is new is usually very exciting to a human being because there's curiosity. It's different from something you are familiar with, something that you know very well. It's different. So it can create an excitement in you. So you can meet somebody and that whole day, it looks as that person has just turned your whole world in a way you've never experienced before. And it can feel so great. I'm telling you, you can begin to talk about marriage from that day. You can even end up being intimate with one another that particular day. Everything can just be so exciting. But you see, by the time he weighs down on you, that feeling like when you take a sleeping pill and then the sleeping pill has now finished its work and then you are back to normal. You're now back to your senses. You'll be asking yourself, what exactly is wrong with me? How come I've gone so deep so quickly with this kind of person? It was excitement. The person was new and it could excite you. And you may think just because the person is new, maybe you found true love. That's why people who are experienced will tell you that always give time. Time will help you to sort out your feelings, right? So there is a feeling of excitement. Don't make marital decision on account of excitement that, oh, you just met somebody, the person is so exciting, you want to marry that person. It can be pretty dangerous. Then there is a feeling of attraction. I'm sure we have said at some point, oh, I find that person attractive. And it's usually a feeling when somebody, there are things that you find attractive in a person or that you have set in your heart that is attractive. maybe a slim lady, maybe a tall guy, maybe a beard guy, or a particular eye shape, or something like that. So you can see somebody and find that person to be very attractive. And that attraction is a feeling. And on account of that, a relationship may develop. Now, you may be saying that, oh, should we not be attracted to somebody we want to marry? Yes, there's no point, there's nothing wrong being attracted to people. The point is that that is not the basis for which you make marital commitment. Marital commitment goes beyond the fact that I like her hair, I like her shape, I like all of this. It goes beyond that. Even though there's nothing wrong that you should marry somebody that you find attractive to you. There's nothing wrong about that. But you soon realize in marriage that marriage goes beyond all of those things. And making such a commitment based on physical attribute can be pretty dangerous. Do you know that you can lose those physical attributes very easily? For example, you like a very slim lady and you marry that slim lady, and then she takes in marriage, and before you know it, she becomes very big. Are you now going to stop loving her and start chasing slim people all over town? And that's why you need to be very careful. In fact, I've seen a lady that was very slim. I was quite bigger than her, as in you can't even compare us. She was extremely small and slim. And then she got married. And what I want to say now is not abusive. Is the best way I can describe her. She became like Yokozuna. You know, this big Japanese that fights wrestling. She's as big as that from a very slim girl. I've never seen that kind of transformation before. She became extremely big. So if her husband is the type that all he finds attractive in a woman is just being slim, then when they get to marriage, then he will have a problem with that. You know, so the feeling of attraction that you make, it could even be, it could not be physical attribute, it could be other socio-psychological attribute. Who is an author? You know, I like somebody who writes. Oh, she's a TV presenter. I like that TV face. You know, things like that. They can be attractive to you. There's no problem. But when you are making a commitment to marriage, that should not be the basis upon which you are going to make that decision. Then we have this popular one, infatuation. Infatuation, which is like a sudden or sometimes gradual feeling you develop for somebody of the opposite sex that will last only a moment. You know, it can just hit you like that, and it can even affect your body temperature, as in physically. Your body temperature can increase. You may even lose appetite. You may lose sleep. You may be struggling to sleep, or you may be oversleeping. You may not feel like eating. Your body temperature can rise. You know, infatuation, sudden feeling. Sometimes it can be gradual. It's so strong. It can be so strong that you will even think you can't survive with that person. You can even fall sick. You can be on the sick bed because of that kind of feeling. You may find it difficult to even focus. I can't just do anything. I can't just stop thinking of him. I'm just thinking of him. He's just all over me. You have to be very careful. Marriage is, always keep something in mind, that marriage is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So don't have a sprint approach to marriage. Have a marathon approach to marriage. In a sprint, you build all your muscle and then you hit the track. Do you know that in less than 10 seconds, they are already done with 100 meters? In less than 10 seconds. Whereas somebody that is doing a marathon is still there 2 hours. It's an enduring race. They are built, those who do marathon, they are built to last. But those who do sprint, they are built for a burst. But if you look at them, you will notice that those who do sprint, they look very attractive. They are very stocky, muscular, athletic, handsome. But those who do that long distance, they may not have that particular look. They may look okay and good, but they may not have that athletic look. And you may tend to want to even overlook them. But those are the guys that 3 hours on, they are still running. They are still running. Those are the people that can last. Always understand that marriage is like that. It's not a race that you will do very quickly and then you are done with it. So you have to take your time. You've got to get it right. So be very careful of infatuation. Then there's also the feeling of crush. You know, people say, I have a crush on him. I have a crush on her. It's a feeling of fantasy for someone. It's a fantasy feeling. What do we mean by fantasy? See, you may unconsciously have some form of fantasy in your heart, on your head. And one day you may not even meet this person. This person may just be somebody you watch on TV. The person just fits into that fantasy. And you may develop a crush feeling. Usually it's not a strong feeling. So people don't bother too much about it. But it's there. It's quietly there. Sometimes you may not have opportunity to be closer to that person. That's when it can lead to something. And you may think that crush is something. And on that basis, you want to make marital decision. So we've got to be very careful with the feeling of crush. There is also affection, the feeling of affection. Affection is the bonding feeling that develops among family members, friends, and associates over some time. And it should not be confused with love. Let me illustrate this. When you hear in the news that somebody dies and you don't know that person, it may not make anything to you. Or you just heard on the news that 1,000 people died in Ukraine. Imagine 1,000 people. And it may not strike your heart. You may not even go to bed that day and share a single tear. You may not even worry about it. It's just a piece of news. 1,000 people died in Ukraine. Who cares? You may feel that way. However, if you are told that your dad, your brother, or somebody that close to you dies, it changes the complexion. Now look at it. 1,000 death didn't move your heart. But one death can actually wreck your life. You become so depressed, so discouraged, so down, so pain. What is the difference between the deaths? The difference is affection. The one that touches you, you share affection. Your parents, you share affection. Your friends, you share affection. But you see, the 1,000, you have no connection with them. There's no affection between you. So you see, over time, affection is a normal feeling we develop with colleagues, with friends, with family, with people close to us, with people important to us. Now, the problem is that sometimes care is not taken. Somebody can begin to misconstrue affection for love. Say, I am affectionate towards this person. So you may begin to also think that, this is affection. Okay? We are all given to have natural affection. But again, I will say again, you can't make marital decision on that. For example, you have a friend, the opposite sex. You've known each other for a long time. Now, but you see, take note, what is between you is affection. But then you now feel that they keep saying, marry your friend, marry your friend. You know, what many people don't know is that in marriage, it is not simply friendship. People think that if you are friends, it will work out well in marriage. No, it's different. You see, I have friend, opposite sex, and we may not call each other for 2 weeks. And then if we call each other, Hey, what's up? How are you? How you day? And so, hey, over the years, we can build very good friendship. But you see, once you get married, as a man, you want to establish the fact that I'm the head of this family. You want a love and submission relationship. You want a responsibility relationship. When you were friends, there was mutual commitment, but there was no defined responsibility. In marriage, there is defined responsibility. She had never carried a baby before. Now she's carrying a baby. You don't know her attitude when she carries a baby. You don't know her attitude when she becomes a mother. And you also, you've never been a father before. There are many things that in friendship are not revealed, but in marriage are revealed. So even that friendship that you think you have going for yourself may not necessarily pull you through in those days. We're going to see what will pull you through at the end of this. So affection is another feeling. And I think the last one I will look at before I now look at what exactly then is love is this popular one, probably the one that misleads people the most. This is what we call erotic feeling. That's the feeling of falling in love. That is that feeling you have when you say, I am in love. And every one of us can experience it and probably would experience it at one point or the other. It's a feeling of falling in love. Now, but you see, as wonderful as this feeling is, there's nothing wrong for couples to have it. There's nothing wrong for people who are intending to marry one another to have it. The problem is that if you make marital commitment on that basis, it may also not augur well because it's still a feeling. Every feeling has duration. Every feeling has a lifespan. And you will be overworking yourself to want to sustain that kind of feeling. Most of us have probably fallen in love at a point. So what happened to that feeling? How did it end? And why did it end? If it is something that should last forever, why then did it end? That's to tell you that erotic feeling would end. Some of the things that make for erotic feeling is close association. When you are relating with somebody very closely over time, you may likely develop feelings for each other. Sharing of secret. If you take somebody into confidence and you begin to share secret, you begin to share things you wouldn't share with other people. That's what marriage is. Marriage is a place where two people see each other in a way nobody else should see them. So when you begin to now have someone that you begin to share something with, secret with, over time, you may develop feelings for one another. There could be so many things, or maybe somebody is pursuing you as a lady and the guy is persistent. Over time, you can just find yourself falling in love with this person. So many things can cause people to fall in love. But you see, that feeling is the one we call love, but it's actually erotic feeling. And when you look at the word ero, it has to do with the erogenous part of our body. And those are sexual part of our body.
I think Mr. Shegun is having some network glitch. So
Now, so you really got to guard against this feeling. There's nothing wrong. Let's say you've made marital commitment to somebody and you now develop feelings, or you develop feelings, but your decision goes beyond feeling, then there's nothing wrong with it. The emphasis is that marital decision cannot simply be based on feeling. But we are not saying that having feeling is wrong. It's not wrong. Having the right feelings, actually, it's not wrong with that. However, there are other indices, there are other parameters that you must consider. Let's say, for example, two people are in love, greatly, greatly in love with each other. Then they went to check their genotype and discovered that they are AS and AS. Then they have a decision to make. Do they want to get married with the possibility of producing sickle cell children? Yet they have feelings for each other. Now, that's to tell you that they have a decision to make. You see, that decision, those are the critical things in choosing who to marry. The feeling is there, right? You both know you are in love with each other. You both want to spend the rest of your life with each other. But then there are issues you now need to ask yourself. Is this person right for me? Is this person fit for me? Are we going to last? Can we share life truly together? Am I ready for some of the
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
challenges I will face? That's when you realize that it goes beyond feelings. So all these feelings that I've discussed are some of the feelings that people misinterpret, and they say, oh, I'm in love with this person. And on the strength of that feeling, they want to make commitment to marry that person, only to discover later, depending on the variant of the feelings they have, that this thing, after all, is not actually going to last. I no longer feel the way I feel. You've had people say, I no longer feel anything for her again. I have no feelings for him anymore. What happened to that feeling? And you know something about feeling is that if you hurt feelings, feelings will die. Most feelings, if you hurt them, they will die. If you do something against them, they will die. Now that brings us to a question. So what exactly should be the guiding principle? What is love? If all of these, if they are not love, then the question is this: what then exactly is love? So how can I say I truly love and I'm not just being deceived by my own feelings? Because you see, feeling deceives us. Because feeling is within us, it is so real that it deceives us. Let me give you an instance. If I tell you that I love you, or if I say to a lady that, see, I deeply love you, you mean so much to me. From the first time I set my eyes on you, I knew that this is the life I want to share my life with. I just can't wait to be with you. And that lady believes it. Do you know that she can develop erotic feeling for me? And yet I was just playing with words. I don't mean anything I just said now. And I can say it so passionately, and she believes it. Now, what happens is this. So that means that that feeling has always been in her. So all these feelings, they are in us. It's not somebody else that is giving it to you. But you think that it is the person that is giving it to you. But now I just lied to you that I love you, and you believed it. And because of that, you go to bed and you can't sleep, and you are carrying your pillow on your head, you are rolling because you believe I love you, and that you are having feelings for me. Yet I don't mean a damn. I don't have any single feeling for you, and I don't mean it, but you believe it. So it means that that feeling has always been in you. That's why it's easy for that feeling to deceive us, because they are resident within us. And so we are likely to trust them. You are likely to trust them. You are likely to believe that this is so real because it's within you. So let's now examine and see, so what exactly is love? I want you to pay attention to the way I'm going to define love. Of course, people can have their different way of defining love, but this is the way I've been graced to define love. You see, love is a conscious, deliberate, and graceful decision to treat someone the way God would treat that person. Please note those words. It's a conscious decision to treat somebody right, irrespective of that person. Irrespective of that person. That is love. So when you say, does he love me? You're asking a wrong question. When you ask a wrong question, you can't get right answer because the premise of your question is already wrong. It's faulty. In marriage, we make commitment to love our spouse, to care, to treat them irrespective of what they do. That is genuine love. That is what love is. So love is not feeling. Love is different from feeling. Love is a decision. Love is a commitment. Love is selflessness. I will still look at it in detail. So it means that you have said to yourself, no matter what happens, I'm going to be there for this person. It's not just, see, a guy sees a beautiful lady. She's so beautiful, promising future. She has everything in place. And then you are going about singing, oh, I love you. You know, I love you so much. I've never loved anybody like this. I love you to the moon and back, even though he doesn't know the distance between the earth and the moon, which is about 440,000 kilometers anyway. He doesn't know that distance. He's saying he has love to the moon and back. Now, but you see, it's easy to say that because of what you see and because of what you want to get. Most of what we call love is selfishness. You are looking at what you are going to get. You are looking at what's in it for me. That's what you are calling love. Let me tell you a story. A couple got married in, I think, 2012. 2012. They got married in 2012. And 4 months afterwards, the guy had an accident and broke his spinal cord. He could no longer control his urine, his feces, and he could not have erection. This is not a tale. I went to interview him because that was part of my job. I went to interview him. I sat down with them and I was asking him questions. And as at the time I went to interview him, I think it must have been 4 years after the incident. He's on wheelchair. He can not urinate by himself, defecate, or have erection. That happened in 2012 April. This is 2023. They are still together. They don't have a child. This lady has been standing with her husband ever since. At a point, we were able to raise some fund, and then coupled with his friend, they sent him to India, and he was able to do surgery. That corrective surgery enabled him to control his urine, his feces, and he told me that he could have erection. Okay, I don't know how much they can do with it, but he told me he could now have some erection. But he's been on wheelchair till date as I'm speaking with you. And the lady, to the best of my knowledge, has been faithful, has been consistent with this man. This goes beyond feelings. This is not feeling. This is commitment. It's like I've chosen this person, and this is the person I want, and I'm going to be with. And no matter what happened, I'm going to remain with that person. And she had kept to her word. She had remained with this brother ever since then. That's why I'm saying that love is a conscious decision. Are you prepared? Let's assume that lady, her beauty would disappear tomorrow. Let's assume that potential she has or he has will not be there tomorrow. Would you still be loving? It is easy to profess love when we are in our best state. When you see somebody in our best state, it is easy to profess love. But are you ready for that long-term commitment, that selfless commitment? So that's why some of the attribute of love is that love is patient. Love is not in a hurry. Be careful of anything that is hurry, hurry, hurry. In fact, when you understand love, you won't even be in a hurry. You won't be in a hurry. You will patiently make decision because you know the consequence of that your decision. And love is unconditional. You don't love because of the other person. You love because of you. Now, we are not by this saying the other person should not love you back. No, but we are saying that your own love is not based on that other person. Just as we believe that God doesn't love us because we love him. He chose to love us. Now, he will be glad that we love him back. But his love is not based on our own love. It's based on himself. That's how love functions. Love is kind. What does it mean to be kind? To be kind means to treat another person as your own kind. That means to do unto others what you will want them to do unto you. That is love. Oh, you don't want somebody to cheat on you. So why will you cheat on that person? If truly you love, you will never cheat. Because you will not want somebody to cheat on you. And so you won't do the same, you won't do it to the other person too. So everything you don't want to do, you don't want people to do to you, you don't do to them. You don't want anybody sleeping with your wife. But then you are sleeping with other men's wife. It means you don't understand love. So when you are kind, you treat that person as yourself, your own kind, as your own kind. It's just as you are treating yourself. You see, love is putting yourself as that other person and doing that thing to yourself. Do you know that sometimes you do something wrong there? You yourself, you do something stupid and you say, why did I do this? But because of that, have you killed yourself? Have you poisoned yourself and say, I messed up. Let me just go and kill myself. This myself is too useless. I want to kill myself. No, you still enjoy yourself. You say, well, I've messed up. Let me go and give myself a good treat so that this mess up can clear up. Love is not jealous and it is not envious. Envy is feeling bad when people have something that you don't have. That's envy. That's envy. Somebody said, oh, I just got my permanent residence today. And you feel bad because you don't have it. Why are you feeling bad? Why can't you rejoice with the person who has it? That person who has it has not done anything to you. So why? That is, you see, that is simply envy. You are envious. So you feel bad for other person's progress. So love in relationship is not envious. You are not going to feel bad because he is progressing. You are not going to feel bad because she's progressing. Love is also not jealous in this sense. What we mean in this sense is jealousy is feeling bad because somebody has something that you have. You see the difference between jealousy and envy. Envy is feeling bad because somebody has something you don't have. Jealousy is feeling bad because somebody has something that you have. For example, you can sing, you are the star, and then somebody now comes who can sing like you. And then you feel bad because you always want to be that it is only you. You have traveled out of maybe you are from Africa, you have traveled out of your country to Europe, and then one of your friends eventually also, or somebody else in the family, traveled out of the country to Europe, and then you hear of it and you feel sad because you want a situation where it will be said that it is only you who has traveled to Europe. That's jealousy. That means that you are jealous. So you will discover that even in a relationship, people can be jealous. People who claim to love each other, they are still envious and jealous. But love is not so. Love is not so. Love is not proud. Love is not proud. So love does not find it difficult to apologize. And love does not apologize in order to make the other person look stupid. You know, when you say things like, well, if what you want is sorry, I'm sorry. You know, what you have said is that if you are stupid enough to ask me to tell you sorry, then I will tell you sorry. You're actually abusing the person and then you say you're apologizing. You know, love is not proud. Love is humble. Love can say, okay, I agree, I'm wrong. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very wrong and I'm sorry. Love is not ill-mannered and it is not selfish. Okay. In fact, this one is very important. Love is not selfish. So when you love somebody, you are not just thinking of yourself. You are thinking of that person. You are not just thinking of what you can get. You are thinking of that person. And that's why even in marriage, you see, in marriage, couple sexual life reveals a lot of things about them. Most men, sorry to say, not all, but at least most men naturally tend to be selfish sexually. But do you know that when you truly love your spouse, you will not be selfish? Because sexually, you'll be asking yourself, what does my spouse want? You will want to know what your spouse wants. If the way you approach sex is, let me just get my own pleasure and go on, then you do not really love that person. When you love somebody, you'll be asking, how will I satisfy this person? What does this person want? And so sometimes you may delay your own satisfaction. You may have to make sacrifice in order for you to be able to please the other person. So love is selfless. It's not just thinking about self. It's thinking about the other person. There are quite a whole lot of other things about love, but I think we already have an idea that it's a decision, it's a function of will, not function of emotion. Love is a product of your will, not a product of your emotions. Feelings are a product of your emotions. Love is a product of your will. It takes your will to look after another person. You see, when you have feelings for somebody, you may climb mountain for that person. But once that feeling stops, you may not even be able to walk in the valley with that person. But love, it's not propelled by feeling. And so it's like nuclear reactor and diesel engine. You see, diesel engine will eventually run out of diesel. But nuclear reactor can last and last and last and last and last and continue to produce energy. That's just, may not be best description, but it's a way to just illustrate it, that it's of a will. Your will always be present with you, but you will not always have those feelings. But you will always have your will. Let me put it again this way. Let's assume somebody says something very bad to you, and you have a gun. You can take your gun and shoot that person because you feel so bad. What? How do you say such a thing to me? Take your gun, boom, boom, and kill that person. And then you'll be tried. Depending on the country where you are tried, you may either get a life sentence, a death sentence, or some years imprisonment. What happened? You responded emotionally. In the second scenario, you have a gun and somebody is abusing you and saying all kinds of terrible things. You feel bad. You feel like shooting that person, but you refuse. That's your will. That's your will. That's how to love. So we love by the will, not by emotions. Now, that is not to say that we do not have feelings for each other. We do. All of those components are there. Just like I said, when the man was abusing you, you also had feelings of anger and rage. The feeling is there, but you chose not to function by your feeling. You chose to walk by your will. Because when you function by your feeling, you're going to be making mistakes and make wrong decisions. That's why that man made wrong decision and shot people. Do you know how many people are in prison today or on death row just because of their emotions? Because they allowed their emotions to make decisions for them. If they had used their will to make that decision, they would be in their house now, probably resting and having a good time. But they are cooling off now in a jail, in a prison, or somewhere on a death row. Some of them, as we speak, may even be heading to a death row. And it's just based on somebody's outburst of emotions. I'm going to stop here because if I introduce something else, it will be maybe taking us completely off again. So in summary, what we have done in these two series is, number one, we have examined the pressures that make people to go into wrong marriage: financial pressure, economic pressure, family pressure, parental pressure, peer pressure, lustful pressure. Then today, we are focused on feelings that we misinterpret as love. That when you have that kind of a feeling for somebody, you may say, oh, now I think I'm in love and I want to marry this person. We are saying it could be misleading. You can have the feeling, but you must make decision by your will. Ask yourself, if this person does not love you back, can you still love this person? Can you cope with this person if things changes? Will you still want to be with this person? So you make decision with your will, not simply with your emotion. In fact, it's always good once you have made that decision. Oh, you can express emotions as much as you like. You see, I did something when I wanted to marry my wife. I said to her, um, I said, and that's my proposal. It may sound very strange, but that's what I did. I said, will you mind suffering with me in life? That was the way I proposed to my wife. I said, will you like suffering with me in life? Now, why did I do that? You see, I didn't want to introduce anything hyper emotional at that stage. I didn't want it. I want us to make well thought out decisions. I told her where I want to live. If you have a plan to relocate or something, I don't have such a plan. So if you have such a plan, there's no point marrying me. So we set out all of those things very clearly. I didn't want a situation where we will be so overwhelmed with emotions that we are not going to sit down and discuss serious issues that we should discuss. And we will just be saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, until we see ourselves in marriage. And then we are now faced with the reality. And that's when we now start asking questions. So I suspended all those outbursts of emotions temporarily. It was when we were able to now make decisions that we are using our senses, not just our emotions, our senses. We are both clear. I didn't promise you that, oh, I'm going to give you the whole world. I said, would you suffer with me? That it was after that that we now begin to express emotions. We now begin to exchange letters, exchange things, and so on. Because now the real issue has been sorted out. And this one, there's no problem. We will do it also. We will have good memories and so on. But we were very clear about what we were doing and where we were going. So it will be our counsel that relax, make very, very reasonable decisions. Don't just get carried away with emotions. It can be very misleading. So, by the grace of God, next time, we will be looking at another issue that relates with making marital choice. And then I believe that by the time we are done with the series, we will be well fortified. And it's our desire and our prayer for everyone, whatever persuasion you belong to, that every one of you, you will have a lasting marriage. You will enter into a beautiful marriage. You will enjoy your marriage. It will be fulfilling. You will not know it for trouble. You will not know it for sorrow. That is our prayer, and that is our desire. I'm sure that the host will share the free marriage course that we have with you. If you also check my Twitter uh, page, you will find it. It's probably the number 2 post on my Twitter page. It's a free course that you can enroll for. It's absolutely free from beginning to the end. Some of these things I'm teaching, we have already packaged them into the course, and it's absolutely free. And then we have books you can download from our website. If the host permits, I will speak on that later. And they are all free, absolutely free. You can just download and read at your own time. So I want to once again thank you for taking time to listen. I do not take it for granted, and for inviting me to come and share these few words with you today. Thank you very much. I will now hand over to the host.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. Indeed, it has been very, very insightful for every one of us. Thank you very much. And sir, if you will permit us to throw it open, if anyone asks question, please you can ask him now, and you can just unmute your mic and ask your questions, please. You can also raise your hand, and then I'll make you a speaker if you want. Okay, I think our silence means that we all understand it. Thank you so much, very much, sir. Once again, we really appreciate you. So, Chike, I hand over back to you in case you have anything to tell us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I mean, that was a really, really, you know, packaged and fantastic, session. I'm sure most of us here would have learned a lot, especially those of us who are, in the process or, thinking about choosing a spouse for marriage or in the process of